And hello, everyone, and back to Cyrus Webb Presents. Glad you all could be back here on Amazon Live. Also, for those who are tuning in on Facebook, on YouTube, and Twitter, glad you all could be with us as well. Guest is joining us. We have Kim M. Hardy joining us today. Kim is the author of the book Wally and Key. You guys can see it there. This is a really fun children's book, also very educational. We're going to talk to Kim not only about what it's been like for her to write the book, but also to share the message when it comes to epilepsy, letting people know exactly what individuals who are dealing with epilepsy, what they have to go through, but also how this book is able to help not only, of course, young people, but also us as well. If you guys are not familiar, you guys know how to stay connected. I do want to say for those who are joining us on the Amazon Live side, I'm going to go ahead and highlight the Kindle edition of the book. You guys see I have the print edition here, but the Kindle edition is also available for $4.99, or you can be able to get the print edition for $9.99 like I did. And again, as I mentioned, we will be letting you all know how to stay connected with Kim. But Kim, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for having me on.
So, Kim, I want to talk about this journey for you. First of all, we're going to get into Wally and Kimmy, but what has it been like for you as a storyteller to be able to share this story?
The story actually, I thought it would be hard to write the book, but it was pretty easy. It was natural to come out and share the story. All this happened while I was actually an adult, and because the kids were saying, "Miss Kim, there's nothing out there for us," and I was thinking about kids having seizures in schools and what that might look like to other children. So I said, well, why don't I make my story as a children's book, and me and Wally be a little girl and a puppy, because Wally is actually an older dog. So I just made us kids again and shared our journey. So everything in the book actually happened.
Wow. Wow. And that is what is so interesting to me, Kim, when I was reading the book. I love the fact, for one thing, Wally gets the story. He's kind of the star of the story because Wally's the hero, right? And I think for a lot of us that are pet lovers, pet owners, we know what that experience is like to have that support of a pet. But Wally's different in that Wally is really more than just a support system. Really is, someone to be able to say it's okay, but also to let people also know what's going on. So I want to talk about that for
Right.
you. I mean, I think for a lot of people, Kim, they don't know a lot. They hear about epilepsy. They hear about someone who's epileptic. They don't really know what it means. How important was it for you to be able to use this as an opportunity to share a bit of your story, but also to help to educate people a little bit?
Well, because there are so many myths behind epilepsy, and it's dating back to even before we were here. And I'm from the South, so a
Mhm.
lot of those myths still exist, real heavy and hard. And us in the African American community, we don't like to talk about stuff like that. So whereas I had family members that I didn't even know that had epilepsy. So I'm tracing it back to see that it's kind of in my family. So letting people know what it is, it can look like or not look like, because he thinks that epilepsy is convulsions and you're shaking and stuff like that, but that's not true. You may
Yeah.
not even see somebody have a seizure. You could be talking to them and they're having a seizure. And the seizures that I shared in my book was the ones that I started having in my sleep, which are very dangerous.
Mhm.
So Wally's support was crucial for me, because I went 3 months where I couldn't even work, and followed me around the house for 3 months and would not leave my side. If I went took a nap, Wally was laying right there with me. And I wanted people to know. I often hear people say about dogs and stuff. How when a loved one, somebody loses a dog and they don't understand why they're crying. Well, because when you're sick, dogs, pets, period, naturally know this. They have this instinct. And with Wally's not a trained support dog, but he was there. The first seizure I had in my sleep, when I woke up, he was literally standing over me with his paw on my arm, and
Mhm.
it kind of calmed me down. Even though I went back into another one, he never left that entire, not until later that afternoon when I finally got up. So it
Yeah.
was important to share that, and I wanted to let kids know how support can come in many different forms. You know, you can support somebody even if you really don't understand what they're going through, but that love and support, it will help them get through what they're going through and your own fear. So that was the whole point about that. And I'm finding that a lot of it helps a lot of adults and even the teenagers. The teenagers love the book too. So I was just
Right.
like, it's a win.
Right, and and that's why I even said in my review on Amazon, Kim. I think that's the thing. Adults will get a lot out of this too because again, it's informative. The illustrations are great and helping to bring to life the different points. One of the pictures that really stands out to me is the concern on the mother's face. You know,
Yes.
when I think Wally is getting the mother's attention, and you see the
Hmm.
mother walking in, you know, ready to help. How important has that support been for
Yeah.
you, Kim, to have someone there for you who understands what you're going through and being able to be a part of that support system?
It's very important because a lot of, like with most diseases like epilepsy and lupus, even cancer, anxiety, and it's all not the not knowing. With the epilepsy is silent, so you don't know much about it. You may never ever find out why you're having seizures. Some do, some don't, and I don't. So the fact that a seizure can come on without warning anywhere and people can see you at your most vulnerable, that's not easy for a child,
Yeah,
an adult, let alone a child.
right.
So and then it affects, and it's even seizures, pets can have seizures too.
Hmm.
So, you know, just dealing with that and having the support there and the love is very important. And I also put the book out for those that may not have anybody, which is what I'm doing now, is being there for those that may not have a large family like I have, or good circle of good girlfriends and stuff. So
Hmm.
that's it's just very key for me anyway.
Right. I want to say for those who are just tuning in, and I see you guys over there on the YouTube side, I appreciate you guys being on with us. Those tuning in on Twitter, thank you so much, as well as those who are joining us on Amazon Live. You all are watching Cyrus Webb Presents. I'm joined today by Kim N. Hardy. We're talking with her not only about her book, Wally and Kimmy. You guys see it there. Get some of that glare off of it there. And this story I think is so powerful. The subtitle being Wally to the Rescue. When I saw that, and I should mention is the Adventures of Wally and Kimmy, that made me think. So we're looking at a series here. Did you know that it was going to be a series when you first started it, Kim?
Yes, that is exactly what I wanted to do. I kept thinking about, the Bernstein Bears and
Mm,
the Amelia Bedelia books and stuff like that. I love those as a kid growing the Babysitters Club. And I said,
yeah.
well, why don't I do in my mindset but I got stories that are keep coming. I've got the next couple of books formatted, and I'm gonna do, hopefully next year two will be coming out at one time. So, you
Wow.
know, and they'll all flow together. So you'll get to see Kimmy, and while you even get to hear Kimmy's perspective on everything.
Mm,
So I'm just excited about it, and I'm getting positive feedback. So it's helpful to people. So I would like to show people from somebody's journey and even somebody supporting the journey in these series. So I just am excited that everybody likes it.
yeah. One of the things we find out about you, Kim, is you also have a Hardy Hands Foundation. Talk to us about that and the work that you do there.
Hearty Hands is an epilepsy support organization. We're here to educate, advocate, and support those that are living with epilepsy. And that's just not those of us with epilepsy, but also the caregivers and the friends that have epilepsy. And our most important focal point this year has been to educate people, because people, like I said earlier, the myths out there, they're just not true. You don't put anything in anybody's mouth anymore when they're having a seizure. That could be not only dangerous to you, but dangerous to them having a seizure. You could break somebody's teeth off that way.
Mm,
And I just want to make sure people know and understand, especially going into the schools, helping teachers understand that, sometimes the students aren't not paying attention. They could actually be having a seizure and not know it as a
wow.
child. And I was actually diagnosed with ADD, and finding out that is not all ADD, is actually I was having seizures in class, and they call them absent seizures, by the way. So that's what I was having.
Now you just brought up something, Kim, that I have heard, and so I think you're just helping someone even in this conversation. So there are a lot of things that people think they're doing to help, but as part of your work then with Hardy Hands, let them know that you could actually be doing more harm than good if you're not
Right.
properly informed.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. I've actually, Cyrus, is funny. I was on YouTube one day and I was watching videos of people having the seizures. It was actually my first time since I was little. My great uncle used to have them, but this was actually my first time seeing the how violent some of the seizures could be. And I saw
Right.
somebody having one like what looked like a Walmart, and they got their wallet stolen from them while everybody
Mm.
watched, and they were just like, I don't know what to do. That I want to stop. I mean, we know how to give people first aid when they choke on something, or
Right.
if they give them CPR if they need it, if they drown or something like that. Well, we need to know what epilepsy first aid is so that you can help people, because somebody can fall out and hit their head. They could actually choke on their own saliva and stuff depending on how violent the seizure is. So knowing this stuff, and it's really not a whole lot that you would have to learn. It's really simple, but it's just getting people
Yeah.
educated on what to do, because like I said, it can be scary seeing that for the first time. So just knowing what to do and being confident in it.
Kim, this is a conversation that's important, but are you surprised that in 2022, when we have so much advancement, there have been so many things that people have gotten right on the medical front? Are you surprised that there's not a lot more information, education, and awareness about epilepsy?
Yeah, I also work in the medical field. So I'm seeing a
Hmm.
lot of the behind the scenes stuff. Although I'm not with neurology, I'm in GI, gastroenterology.
Hmm.
The focal point nowadays is getting people on medications. And you'll leave
Gotcha.
people on medications for years when the medicine may be doing more harm than good. Now,
Mm.
Hardy Hands is never promoting do not take medicines that the doctor prescribed. I always promote both holistic and the medication that the doctor give you, because either they could go hand in hand or the one can help you better than the other. Sometimes
Right.
the holistic route doesn't work for everybody, but for me, CBD oils and stuff have worked.
Hmm.
But you know, medications has done my body more harm than good.
Gotcha.
So, going and just learning and studying and educating for yourself. As far as the medical field goes, there's good advancements and there's not, but the funding for epilepsy isn't there. The governmental
Mm.
funding isn't there, and it used to be concentrated more on cancer research and AIDS research and stuff, which isn't bad, but there's a lot of people that are affected by epilepsy worldwide and here in America. So it's just getting the word out there and doing more to get the funding and stuff we need. So the advancement is slow, but I think it's gonna come, especially with more organizations like myself and others helping out and getting boots to the ground.
Gotcha. Pele is joining us on the Facebook side. She says hello to me and to the beautiful Kim
Hey,
Hardy. Hello to
play.
you, Pele. Pele, we have an Amazon Live to get scheduled too. I'm looking forward to it to talk about all of your great things too. I want to go back to something you brought up. Something I wasn't going to go there with you, but since you brought it up, I'm going to mention it, Kim. I did notice in the Adventures of Wally and Kimmy there was nothing mentioned about medication. I did notice that. But I did notice, of course, the support that Kimmy was able to get. But I did notice that there was nothing there about medication. But I think that's another interesting conversation, though, because of something else you just said, and that is the fact that I think for a lot of people, there are people who may be misdiagnosed that may actually be epileptic, and they're being diagnosed with something else. What do we do in situations like that? I mean, we as the readers of this book and viewers of this conversation, Kim, what can we do to make sure that if we have a loved one or if we ourselves have been diagnosed with one thing, to make sure that it's not, so we can be our own best advocate, I guess is what I'm asking, to make sure that
Right.
we are not being misdiagnosed.
Exactly. So this is mixed diagnosis with epilepsy, because it's neurology and it's the brain. They don't know a lot about the brain. It's very common. I was misdiagnosed. And with my epilepsy, it changes over time, and that can happen. It can happen. So I was on the wrong medicine for a long time. And, back when I was growing up, there wasn't a lot out there. But now, with the advances now, you can be your own advocate. You can research. We got the Google searches and stuff. Be careful with researching, though, because you could think you have something and work yourself up when you don't. So, I mean, I would just read up on what epilepsy is, what the side doctor prescribes you a medicine. And this is whether you have epilepsy or not. You should always know what the side effects are and what could possibly happen, and ask a lot of questions with the doctor, because you need to monitor yourself. It's not all on the doctors, y'all. It's on you sometimes. So you should always keep a health log, for whether you have epilepsy, whether you have lupus, even just every day, because your body changes. The older you get, your body changes. And you should know how your appetite changes as a female, your cycle time, all that. You should always keep a health log. And that's something eventually Hardy Hands is going to come out with, to help people that go to the doctor, because everybody that, like I said, doesn't have family. And epilepsy, like myself, we have a hard time remembering sometimes. So sometimes I'll get thrown off by something, and I'll have to bring myself in and remember real quick, especially doing interviews and stuff. But and I didn't mention, going back to what you were saying about medicine, I didn't mention the medicine, because this book is coming out as if this was like Kimmy's first few seizures. Now, as you see the books progress, you will see Kim go to the neurologist, and Wally even becoming a support dog for real, legitimate. He gets his papers eventually. So you'll get to see all that. And that's the exciting part about it. You'll see how epilepsy, getting diagnosed, the process, the test you have to go through, the expense of the test, and the different medications that she'll be put on and stuff, just to find. And this is what, anytime you see, it's never an overnight thing. It's a process. So I wanted people to understand that too, because I work for a specialist, and people think, oh, I'm going to go get an appointment and then they're going to give me some medicine and I'm cured. No, it's not always like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And we do get to meet Dr. Betts in this book. So it's great to know that we're going to be able to see more about that journey. Pele says, I know what you mean about forgetting things. Pele, look, I'm about to be 47. I know what she means too. I think part of that
I'm about to be 41 in September. It's never easy.
Yeah. So I totally get that. So I do want to ask you, want to step back for a second, Kim, and I want to say, for those on the Amazon Live side, again, keep in mind that the book is available in Kindle and paperback. I have the paperback highlighted right now. That's the one that I have. For that's $9.99. But I'll go ahead and highlight the Kindle one for $4.99. David says, yes, we need to listen to what our bodies are telling us, don't we? Yes. That is so true, David. And I think it's not always easy, but I love, Kim, the way you talk about, even as Wally is sharing about how Kimmy has a seizure in her sleep, and waking up in pain. See, those are things I'd never even thought about, that that people who are dealing with epilepsy, the pain aspect. I never thought about those things. I have a friend of mine that was recently diagnosed, and she was going through the whole thing about having the seizures in her sleep, and waking up on the floor, and and those kind of things. But all of that was new to me. I thought it was something that you were awake. So I think that's the thing about having individuals telling their stories. That's what I wanted to talk to you about. Is this something that was easy for you to do? Because for so many people, Kim, as you know, it's not easy to share things that people consider to be a weakness, or the people don't want people, looking at them a certain way. Was it an easy decision for you to not just become an author, but to become an advocate and to share your story? Oh, lost Kim there for a second. Let me see if I can get her back. There she is. Okay. Kim, I don't know if you heard the question. Did you hear the question? Yeah. Did you hear the question, Kim? If not, I can repeat it for you.
No, can you repeat it for me?
Oh yeah, no problem. So Pele says she's about to be 49. But No, I was saying, was it an easy decision for you, Kim, to share your story, um, knowing that for one thing, that's going to put you out front and center? Was that an easy thing for you to decide to do?
So it's funny how all this came about was when I was having my seizures, and I went and talked to my daughter's name is really Dr. Getz. I just changed it for fun purposes in the book.
Yeah.
And I was talking to her, and I was telling her, how down I was, and I was, scared to go to sleep and stuff like that. And she was saying, well, find a support group. Well, here in South Carolina, there wasn't anything around. So
Mm.
I was sitting in church day, and God spoke this to me. God said start a nonprofit. And I was like, yeah, okay. I don't know how to do that. He said, just
Yeah.
do it. And I just did it. Because had I waited, it probably wouldn't have happened. So
Got
it
you.
wasn't hard. It wasn't really hard to share my story, especially being that a lot of people I was coming around with didn't understand or know what was going on. And like you
Mm.
were saying about learning about me being in pain and stuff like that, it's very painful because you have to think about it. Your muscles are contracting and expanding when they're having a seizure, and you're moving like this. So I always promote getting massages after a seizure because it loosens those muscles up. But you could be down from anywhere to a week or 2 weeks with just being extremely exhausted. You have to go on brain rest. Even leading up to, there are times you can ask your friend this. If there are times where she just doesn't feel good but can't explain it.
Mm.
I've looked over at my mom. I still stay at home with my parents for this reason, but I do drive. I only
Okay.
drive when I'm feeling well enough to. If I don't feel good, I will not drive.
Mm.
So I look over at my mom sometime, and I'm like, I don't feel good. And she's like, what do you feel like? I don't know. I can't explain it. And for a long time, I wouldn't even say that. But I learned
Mm.
in my support system know that they can be there to help me get through this and to pay attention to, because it's important for my mom to watch me so that if something happens, because when it happens in my sleep, my mom's dead to the world. But Wally's
Mm.
there. So, that's just important. It wasn't sharing the story is actually therapeutic for me, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. It gives me hype too.
Wow. Well, Tina is joining us from Texas, and Tina says, "Thank you. I'm so proud of you for speaking out. Never give up." And I think that's the thing. I think for all of us, Kim, I think that's the great thing about conversations like this, because it reminds us, for one, the connections we can make with people by shared experiences. The friend I was just
Right.
talking about, she just had a very scary experience happen this year. For the first time, had a seizure driving and wrecked her car. And so
Yeah.
a lot of us couldn't even imagine what that's like. And I think that's the thing. That's why I think it's so important for us to hear these stories, to be able to know, what individuals are dealing with, but also what we can do to help. So let's talk about that part as we wrap up here.
Okay.
For those who are just now finding out about Hardy Hands Foundation, Kim, tell our audience how they can be a part of that and how they can connect with you there.
We're always looking for volunteers. We're always looking for ways to reach out even further than South Carolina. You can reach out to me on Facebook. We have a Facebook page. I'm primarily on Facebook, but I do have an Instagram. Hardy Hands Foundation is
Okay.
HHANDZ at Facebook.com, Instagram, and at gmail.com. Want to email me. You can
Okay.
also inbox me on Instagram and Facebook, and I will get back to you. And just I just like to let people know what's going on, and I'm working on getting stuff going so that I can get more information out. I took a pause this year to get the revamp, regroup, and do something
Mhm.
different. Work on the next two books. So
Yeah.
you'll be seeing us a lot more. This will be in November, so it's getting out there a lot more. So
Yeah.
I would like everybody to follow us.
All right. And definitely make sure you guys pick up The Adventures of Wally and Kim. You don't want to leave off the adventures part there. I'm going to go ahead and highlight it again on the Amazon Live side. The Kindle edition, again, is $4.99, as well as you can get the paperback like I ordered for $9.99. I also invite you guys, once you buy the book, make sure you guys share your thoughts on there. Just write a sentence or two to let people know what you think
Yes.
about the book. Those reviews are important, not only for the authors like him, but also for other well, so they know what you thought about the book as well. And as we heard us talk about in this conversation, yes, it is a book that children, I think, will get a lot out of it, but us adults, myself included, I think can learn a lot from this. And it's a great conversation starter, too, about better understanding epilepsy and exactly what people who are living with epilepsy, what they're able to do. Kim, congratulations to you again. So glad we had a chance to. This is
Thank
our first face-to-face chat. So this was
Yes,
exciting. I
it
really enjoyed
is.
it, and looking forward to having you back on the program again.
All right. Anytime.
All
Thank you
right.
for this.
And we definitely thank you all for tuning into this episode of Cyrus Webb here on Amazon Live. Today's show is powered by BiteCool. You guys see it there. That is the laptop that we're using to power today's program. Thank you for that, Pele. I appreciate it. It is on sale right now here on Amazon. As you guys know, I talked about it for Prime Week. It's not quite as cheap as it was for Prime Day, but it's $239 right now. This BiteCool laptop is great for streaming, for those who are looking for things to use for gaming. If you have to do broadcasts like this, do Zoom, that kind of thing, it is definitely great for you. But again, this computer by BiteCool, this is the 2022 model. Again, it's $239. $239 is the price for it. Also, as I mentioned, Kim's book is available on Kindle. If you guys are looking for a Kindle, you missed that great Prime deal. But the Kindle is on sale right now for $59.99. $59.99 is the price of the Kindle. So you guys can definitely take advantage of that. So again, if you guys are needing a new laptop, BiteCool has you covered. I've had mine now for about a year. Again, $239 is the sale price right now for it. If you guys are looking for a light computer that is great for streaming, for doing broadcasts like this definitely is a great option for you. And as I mentioned, for the Kindle, you guys can get that for $59.99. That's going to do it for us for this episode of Cyrus Webb Presents. Until next time, you all make it a great one, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.